Money. Middle-class Latinos step it up a notch as communities thrive. In the picture, you see a family walks past a mural on Downey Avenue with their food from Porto's Bakery and Cafe. The mural depicts California's diverse middle-class suburb of Downey, former home of the Space Shuttle. By Los Angeles Times. When Rick Rodriguez Sr. moved into a three-bedroom home in Downey, California in the mid-1980s, a neighbor interrupted his yard work with the question, "You're not going to be one of those guys that parks in the front yard and lets chickens run around in the front yard, are you?" Rodriguez, 54, one of a few Latinos in what was then a mostly white suburb, replied, "No, sir. I'll make sure to keep the chickens away from the front yard." After founding the state's largest Latino-owned private security firm, Rodriguez eventually sold his home and bought multiple properties around the city. These days, he often sees his former neighbor playing around at Rio Hondo Golf Club and waves from his new backyard, which borders the seventh hole. Rodriguez's grandparents crossed into the United States illegally from Mexico. Now, he is part of a wave of second and third generation Latino immigrants who have transformed Downey and numerous other Los Angeles suburbs, including Whittier, Pico Rivera, Van Nuys, and Anaheim, over the last 2 decades. Rising fortunes raise communities. Those middle-class Latino communities are proof of the rising fortunes of Latinos, now the largest ethnic group in California, according to U.S. Census Bureau figures released in June. The average Latino income is still lower than the average white income, but rising quickly. Immigrants are moving out of densely populated urban areas into the suburbs, and experts expect Latinos' income and education levels will keep increasing in the years ahead. According to the Census Bureau, the average income for Latinos rose 3.5% between 2012 and 2013 to reach $40,963, the first annual increase since 2000. Downey, a southeast Los Angeles County suburb that gave birth to space shuttles, is nearly 75% Latino. Despite the decline of the aerospace industry, Downey's economy is booming with new shopping centers and businesses. The average household in Downey earns a little over $55,000 a year, significantly higher than other mostly Latino cities in the surrounding area. 1 in 5 households earns at least $100,000. Leaving old ways behind. Jody Agues Vallejo is a professor at the University of Southern California. She says the national debate over illegal immigration is often overheated, making it easy to overlook the fact that many Latinos are middle class and have been in the United States for several generations. Vallejo describes Downey as the city where Latinos in working class towns aspire to move because of its good schools and relatively low crime. She says the increasing number of Latinos moving to Downey has changed the city, but the city has also changed many of them. Some residents said that when they moved in, they started leaving old ways behind. Living in Downey is a symbol of making it, Vallejo said. People believe that they should act a certain way to demonstrate their new status and sometimes feel the need to prove that they've moved up, she said. Step it up a notch. Gilbert Alarcon runs a printing shop in downtown Downey and says the city is known as the Mexican Beverly Hills. "When you think of Downey, you think of a step above. You work your way in here," said Alarcon, 49. "We moved up the ladder from Bell to Southgate and Downey. We never looked back." Alarcon said he felt out of place when he first moved to Downey, but also proud to have moved into the city. The weekend after he moved in, Alarcon decided to wash his car. He knew parking it on the front lawn like he used to would upset his neighbors, but figured washing it in the driveway would be fine. With the hose in hand, Alarcon stopped what he was doing, scanned the street, and second-guessed himself. Nobody else was washing their car. He worried that neighbors might think, "There goes the neighborhood now that the Latinos have moved in." He decided to use the hose to water the lawn instead, then took his Nissan to the car wash. You have to step it up a notch so you can set the foundation for the Latino family that comes after you, Alarcón said. If you follow your old customs, nothing will change. You'll just bring the old neighborhood with you. Alarcón said he did not do things differently to please his white neighbors. He was avoiding disapproval from other Latinos who might frown at the old ways, and eventually found himself looking down on the old customs too. Embracing change. With the decline of aerospace and the departure of many white families in the 1990s, downtown Downey started to wither. Middle-class Latinos moved in, but downtown was slow to adapt, said Valentin Flores, founder of the Downey Art Vibe Gallery. Now you have this young, mostly Latino population. A lot of young business owners are beginning to redefine Downey Avenue, said Flores, 32. Census data from 2007 indicates that Latinos own 45% of businesses in Downey. While many of them run their businesses with other Latinos in mind, Flores says they still look for ways to bring in non-Latino customers. Flores says that many of Downey's business owners are second, third, and fourth generation immigrants, so they do not feel the need to separate themselves from their white neighbors. Let me repeat that one more time for your writing, justifying opinion piece. This might be a part of this text that helps. Flores says that many of Downey's business owners are second, third, and fourth generation immigrants, so they do not feel the need to separate themselves from their white neighbors. It's not a population that is screaming, "We are something else," he said. Mario Guerra, Cuban immigrant and former mayor of Downey, said a major shift came when Porto's, a famous LA bakery started by Cuban immigrants, opened a location in the city. Its pastries, potato balls, and creamy café con leche can draw up to 6,000 customers to the city on a Saturday, Guerra said. We had to reinvent ourselves. We had to reinvent ourselves, Guerra said. We've embraced the change. We've embraced the change.